I don't know, like, when enough becomes enough. Like, genuinely, I don't know when enough's enough. When are we actually gonna do something about it? Like, when is somebody gonna say something? Like, I'm so frustrated. I'm so frustrated right now. My right meniscus, I tore it while I was doing rowing, and it's just been a problem, like a reoccurring issue in my life. Like, it'll just tear at the worst moments. And, like, that's no fault of my own. That's not anything I have any control over. Like, I'm not bitter against my knee. I'm not gonna, like, blame my knee for being ill or whatever. Like, that's not really the point. The point is that, like, every time I've hurt my knee, it's been this really horrible, devastating pain, and like I can't walk, I can't really bend it, I can't like move it. It's just stuck in one position, and it's so painful to change it or do anything. And it's really, like, honestly, it's really traumatized me. Like, every time I think about this happen, like, it's a huge fear of mine of this happening again. And like, when I hurt my knee now this time, I remember, like, I felt really, like, sick to my stomach. Like, I was gonna throw up everywhere because I just got so scared. Like, I got so nervous. It's a horrible, horrible pain, like one of the worst pains, and I feel it 2 times. Like, I've had 2 knee surgeries over it because you cannot do anything to repair it except surgery. It's the only way you can fix it. I've had 2 surgeries, and now my knee is hurting again. It's not torn all the way, so I don't really know what's going on, but I'm scared that it's going to tear again, and it's going to be this horrible pain. I'm going to be, like, debilitated, and I just don't want to go through that again. I'm really scared. I'm really scared. I don't want to have 3 surgeries. So I went to the doctor to try to figure out what was wrong, and he didn't know. Like, he couldn't tell me. He didn't even, like, believe me that anything was wrong with me. Like, he just, like, looked at my knee a little bit, and then my insurance, like, he said that my insurance isn't gonna cover the payment for an MRI until I do 6 weeks of home exercises, because they found that 6% of people who said they needed an MRI didn't end up needing the MRI after 6 weeks of home exercises. So 94% of people who need help just have to sit around for 6 weeks doing like painful exercises because their insurance is trying to, like, save a buck. So they denied the request for my MRI. He didn't do a good enough examination, and he told me the wrong thing. He literally told me that he didn't know and that he wasn't the guy to go to for this. So they recommended me go to another doctor. And then I tried to schedule an appointment with that doctor, and they told me I couldn't see him until I finished the 6 weeks of the home exercises. So I was just stuck doing these things that are not going to help. He gave me hamstring stretching exercises. How is that going to help a meniscus? If my meniscus is torn, there's no home exercise that's going to, like, make it better. Like, that's not how it works. I've been doing these exercises. It's not getting better. It's not getting any better. So I went to a different doctor, and he said, yeah, let's get you in for an MRI because there's definitely seems like there's something wrong. And again, my insurance denied coverage, and they want me to finish these 6 weeks of home exercises. So I called the office to see if the doctor could talk to the insurance, like, directly. They said that could help to get the denial revoked or, like, whatever. I don't know. A one-on-one with the doctor. It's just ridiculous. And I'm so frustrated about it because it's like, I have to live my life. Like, you people are, like, preventing me from, like, surviving and existing. Like, I can't walk around, like, I can't barely walk but to the bathroom and back. Like, it's painful, and I'm scared that every time I, like, do anything with my knee that it's just gonna rip again. And nobody, like, seems to believe me. Like, these people, Cigna doesn't think it's, like, an actual issue. Like, they don't think it's an actual problem. They won't let me even go see what's wrong, except for till I do these 6 weeks of home exercise. It's not gonna help me. It's just ridiculous. You're just trying to save some money off of my health, like, at my expense. Like, what is the point of being an insurance company if you're not even going to help people, if you are going to prevent them from getting the care that they need? Like, you're supposed to be a tool. You're supposed to help us. And you're not doing that. You're, like, preventing me from living my life. I had to quit my job. And I started a new job, and I don't know how I'm gonna walk there. I don't know how I'm gonna do anything. I don't know how I'm gonna be there. I have crutches, but it's like I live in Philly. Like, how am I going to walk around on crutches? Like, and I'm scared. I'm vulnerable. I don't want them to, like, try to attack me, and I, like, can't defend myself, you know? Like, I'm very worried. I'm very afraid. And I don't know what to do, and these people, like, won't let me just figure out what's wrong so I can move on with my life. I'm just really frustrated. Like, I'm stuck here. And, like, I look up the CEO of Cigna, and he makes millions and millions of dollars a year. Why do you need to make that much money? You are profiting off of people's misery and suffering and pain. Like, you're profiting off people's injuries. He's on all these money websites, Money Inc., Business Insider, CNBC, Fortune.com. Like, this is people's health. How are you making money off of people's health? Like, that is so evil. So evil. Millions and millions of dollars. Like, that money could go towards people's treatments. And I know that people die. I know that people die. So this man can put millions of dollars in his pocket. That is so evil to me. I don't understand it, and I don't understand how he's doing this, and he's sitting here talking to Ariana Huffington, doing all these interviews all over, looked as like this very distinguished man running the Boston Marathon with an amputee veteran, and yet the people under his care are suffering so he can make more money. That's all it is. That's all it is. He made $272 million, someone said, in a year. That's $104,479 a day. He made, like, what most people, or like some people who are lucky, make in a year. That's how much he made in one day. But I can't get my MRI covered right now. Like, what I'm going through right now is so that he can get richer. That is the only reason. That is the only reason I'm sitting here. That is the only reason why I had to quit my job and I can't go make money, and nobody wants to act like there's anything wrong with me, because if they deny, then that is more money in this man's pockets. Like, it's not right. And I know people are dying. People are dying because they're not getting the care that they need. Like, I'm not gonna die from this, but I don't want people to suffer. It's just not right. It's just not right. So he can make millions and millions of dollars a year. It's just not right. I'm just like, this is only like the tip of the iceberg. Like, there's so many instances of this, and this goes on in like every industry in America. Like, literally every industry in America. Literally any industry is just like not really helpful. Like, it's all for profit, and that is the result of this like capitalistic world. And obviously, like, capitalism has brought on some really great things. Like, we have been able to create an amazing world full of, like, technological advancements and all this stuff, blah, 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 like, whatever. It's great, but it's also really bad. It's really horrible because it's not sustainable. It's creating all these problems. We created this system to solve problems, but those problems are solved. And now it's just creating a lot of problems for everyone. And I just am like, when is enough going to be enough? Like, when are we gonna stop this, guys? Like, honestly, we all know that we're so miserable living this way. Like, who wants to be doing this? Everything is expensive and bad quality. Like, we are kind of losing the plot here. And if we keep going on the way we are, like, people like David Cordani, the CEO of Cigna, are going to just keep getting richer and richer, and people like me are going to be stuck at home unable to barely walk because he is making all this money off of my suffering. We can definitely tone it down a bit and stop, like, celebrating these people for doing heinous acts and acting out of cruelty. Like, even the government isn't even about, like, serving the people anymore. Like, I feel like we serve the government, and it's always been like that. And my whole thing is just like, why would I want to serve this entity that, like, is really not benefiting me in any way? Like, they're not helping me, and they don't want to help me. Like, they don't want to help us. They don't want to do anything for us. Though they paved the sidewalks. Every time I'm like, what is a good thing that the government has done? They pave the potholes. They fund the schools. They don't even want to do that. Like, they literally don't even want to do that. And they don't pave the potholes. Don't you see the separation and the divide? Don't you see the way we're treated? Like, I just don't get it. And, like, I think it's so wrong. And they just make it seem like, well, that's just the way it is. Like, that's the way that it's supposed to be. Like, no, it's really not. I don't buy that for a second. There's no way on this planet that, like, this is all supposed to be for, like, a certain amount of people's benefit and the rest of us just suffer under them. Like, that's not fair. The thing we all forget, the thing that blinds us all and that creates all the suffering, is that some people think they are more entitled to a better life than others. And nobody was born that way. But it's like, once you get to a certain level, then you just, like, forget. You get so self-centered. Like, once you reach a certain level of success, like, even these people with these foundations and who donate millions and millions of dollars, it's like, well, who is solving the problem? Like, why aren't these problems solved? If you're putting money towards this, then, like, what are you doing with it? Like, these foundations raising all this money and donating it to all the blah, 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 blah. Like, I'm sure you guys do great things, but it's like, why are there still problems? Like, why are there still problems? Why am I not able to get coverage right now? Why? Why are there's so much money being generated, so much work being put into these systems? Why? So that some people can get rich and be living the high life. Like, the rest of us are just like, whatever, you're not working hard enough. You're not trying hard enough. No, it's not about that. I'm so over it. Like, when are we going to realize that people are people? Profiting off of their suffering is really wrong. It's morally wrong. It's really, really wrong. I've been crying a lot today. I'm just so frustrated by all of this, but I also was crying because, like, they don't tell you everything. They don't tell you everything about what's going on. And I had an experience where I saw a little bit of what was actually going on. And what's really, like, behind the scenes of all of this is so beautiful. It's so amazing. And I was crying because it is just love. Like, it's pure love. Whatever we have going on is not love. It's the opposite of that. Okay, capitalism. An economic and political system in which a country's trade and industry are controlled by private owners for profit rather than by the state. Okay, like, yeah, that sounds fine. Like, you own your profit, and it doesn't, like, it's not the government. Like, I can see why people like that and why they like the idea of that. I definitely can see that. But I don't think that because it's by private owners, that means that, like, you hoard it all and you don't, like, you know? The point is, these systems that are profiting off people's suffering are just not sustainable, and they're evil. And I don't want to support it. Like, I don't want to be a part of it. I don't know David Cordani. Like, I've never met that man. He doesn't mean anything to me. So why am I sitting here suffering for him? I don't like that. Like, I really don't like that. That's just not fair. My whole thing is, like, this stuff is just not working. All we do is work, 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 because we don't even have time. We can't even afford to do anything else. We can't even, like, you know, we literally can't do anything but work, because everything sets us up in a way that, like, that's the only way. And, like, it's fine to work. Like, I would like a job. Like, I'm not anti-work. I'm not like, oh, I'm lazy, I don't want to do anything and work hard. Like, that's not the point. I'm anti-work in the way that it happens in this country, but I'm not against, like, having a craft and putting time into it and, like, being monetarily rewarded for it. Like, I think that's a cool thing, like, to be able to support the world, you know? And, like, do things. Like, you should have things that you do in a day, but it shouldn't only be work. You shouldn't only work to support yourself and to live, like, a bare minimum life, you know? Like, I find that really wrong. The point is, this world is not only about that. Like, that's not the only place where you can find gratification and, like, satisfaction in your life. Being a successful person doesn't really mean anything except that, like, you find success in work. Like, that shouldn't translate into other areas of life. Like, you shouldn't look at a businessman and be like, wow, that's a great person. Like, you look at a businessman and you think positive things, you know, just in your mind. That's what you associate with the businessman. But, like, I don't know, an unemployed person, like, you think of somebody who's unemployed, like, what do you think? You think, like, oh, there's something wrong with them, like, they're injured, they can't work, or they're just lazy, or, like, they have mental illness, like, there's just something wrong with them. Like, but it's like, there's a negative connotation, like, there is something wrong with that person because they're not working. You don't just see a person who isn't working. Like, you see a person who is flawed because they don't have a job. And it's not just me. It's not just a personal thing, because I don't believe that. That is the attitude of the, like, country, like, this collective here in America. Like, that's the thought process, that if you're unemployed, there's something wrong with you. I know that if humanity is going to continue, if there's going to be a world beyond our generation, you know, like, if in 300 years there's going to be people here living and thriving, like, when I die, if the world is still going to keep going. We can't do it this way. We cannot keep doing this. Like, it's just not possible. We cannot keep living off of greed and, like, self-serving attitudes. Like, you can't do it. I think that, like, I have to speak up about it because, like, obviously I'm in a position where I'm suffering because of it, but, like, I know there's people who are suffering even worse because of it. And people just look down on them and they don't want to help them because everything is so individualistic. But it's like, you haven't done anything for yourself. Like, yes, you've worked hard and blah, blah, blah. You've put a lot of effort into, like, getting yourself to wherever you're at. Like, sure. But none of that could have happened without other people. It's just not possible. You cannot do anything on your own. You can't even shop at the grocery store on your own. That people worked for that food, you know, they picked it, they handpicked it from the fields, they grew it with their bare hands in the soil, they put those seeds down in there, or they operated those machines, they made those machines that do that for you. There are people whose hands go into every single thing you do. We're all connected. This is not an individualistic world. And the reason why we're all suffering and the reason why the earth is dying is because people think they did it on their own. And it's just not the case. You can't work like that. Things just don't work like that. David Cordani, those millions of dollars that you have in your pocket are not because you are this amazing, great businessman. It's because people are suffering under your care and you are directly profiting off of their sicknesses and their illnesses and their pain. And it's wrong. Our bodies don't belong to you. We ask you for your care and it's conditional. It's the same with all these insurance companies. Some people don't have insurance and they can't pay for anything. Like, they don't go to the doctor. They don't get care because you can't afford it. People are against, like, health care, like, countrywide health care. I just find it evil. And, like, I literally cannot sit here going through this with my mouth shut. Like, I literally can't do it anymore. Like, this is so frustrating. And I just want to speak out and say what's going on so that people can wake up. Because if we don't wake up, then there's not going to be anything left. Everything's going to be gone. And I keep trying to tell people this, but they look at me like I'm crazy, like they don't understand. Like, think outside of yourself and, like, the way of the world that it's been presented to you. You know, just, like, it's not a conspiracy theory. It's not like, oh, there's lizard people in the government. Like, no, shut up. Shut up. So 94% of people who need an MRI have to wait 6 weeks of their lives to get it. So that this money that they save, do you know where it goes? Probably not into the system, back into the funding to get people the help that they need, or else I would have this MRI done. It goes right into Cigna CEO's pocket, David Cordani, who is seen as this great businessman all over CNBC, Business Insider, Money Inc., Broke Society, like Fortune.com, Bloomberg.com, doing interviews with Ariana Huffington, making $104,000 a day, bringing in millions of dollars a year. Millions of dollars a year. But it's just too expensive to get these people who need MRIs. So what? If you get an MRI, oh, there's nothing wrong. Great. Good. Move on with your life. You are an insurance company. Like, give me a break. Are you serious? It just makes me so mad. And people defend him. And they give him a platform to speak on things. Like, this is wrong. Like, this is very evil behavior. This is very evil, demented behavior to be making a profit off of people's suffering. And people look at him like this great, dignified person. So smart. Such a great businessman. Oh my gosh, he makes great business decisions. And he just, like, he's making money because he's such a good businessman. No, he's making so much money because people who are hurt are not getting the care that they need. Like, that's what it is. That's what it is. Oh, he made his way up to the top. Okay, off of the backs of suffering people. Give me a break. Like, I'm sitting here, I had to quit my job. Like, I can't work. I can't work because this man won't let me get help. And there's nothing I can even, like, do. There's no support. I can't even get unemployment for this. This wasn't a work-related accident. It was just an unfortunate thing that happened to my body. I get nothing for it. You get nothing, you know? Like, I just don't know how you can, like, support somebody who does something like this and makes their money this way. And then we look down upon, like, sex workers. And we say that their craft is, like, wrong and immoral. Like, look at what this man is doing. Look at how this man has made millions of dollars literally off of people's pain and suffering and agony, disease. Like, think about how many people must die because of him. How many people die because they can't get the help that they need. What if this was a time, like, imagine, like, I had an illness in me and I didn't know what it was, and nobody thought it was serious, and they said I had to wait 6 weeks to get care and I died. That happens. That happens. Like, I just don't know how, like, you think this is okay. People are people. Like, we shouldn't be punished because our bodies need help sometimes. We shouldn't look at other people's suffering as an opportunity for self-gain. We shouldn't put people in bad positions so that you can line your pockets a little bit more. You know, you shouldn't put people's health at risk and, like, put them in compromising positions. Like, I'm terrified. Every step I take, I'm like, I don't know what's gonna happen. Like, I can barely walk to the bathroom. In this constant state of paranoia and fear, uncomfort, pain, discomfort, not uncomfort, but it's just like, I'm sitting here in this bed right now, quit job, like, unsure about, like, what my life is gonna look like for the rest of the year now, because this man wants to make a little more money. And that's a fact. That's a fact. And that just makes me really mad, and I feel helpless. Like, I can't not get this MRI without insurance approval. Like, there's no way we can afford an MRI on our own. Like, what am I gonna start a GoFundMe? So I already had I made a GoFundMe months ago. Like, oh, make a new GoFundMe because this company, like, this world just, like, doesn't like to help people who need help unless they absolutely have to. It's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. I should be able to get help if I need help. Like, there shouldn't be conditions. David Cordani, I don't know you. You don't know me. Like, we have nothing to do with each other. Like, this is my dad's insurance. Like, I don't even know how any of this works. All I know is that my knee needs an MRI, and you are stopping me from getting this MRI because you want to make money off of my back, which is wrong. And I don't want you to be able to do that. But I'm stuck. This world cannot continue on like this. Like, I don't know when people are going to wake up and understand this. Like, this is not going to work. The earth is telling us that it's not going to work. She's screaming at us. This world, like, do we know how much the earth loves us? Do we know how much this earth does for us? And do you know how much goes into, like, all of our lives? Like, everything that we have is because of another person. Our entire lives, our whole world's, like, everything that we have created for ourselves, everything that we have made for ourselves is not us. It's not just our doing. Like, there's other people, there's hands involved everywhere. And yet, like, you're gonna sit here on this pedestal, on this, like, big chair made of money, and look down upon these other people and, like, dictate their lives because you want to be selfish and make money. People need to stop being so cruel. Open your eyes. Look at your neighbor. Look at anyone. That is a person. That is a person. And anything in your brain that makes you think that you're better than them in any way, you have more money than them, you dress better than them, you are a different race than them, whatever, different sex than them, like, all of that, all those beliefs are fake. Wake up. Like, shut up. Like, literally, like, it makes me so... And I'm obviously compassionate because I know that, like, not everybody sees those things. Like, it's very ingrained in us, and there's really no way out of it unless you seek a way out of it. And you think outside of these things that we've created for ourselves, because it's like, these are the things that the world operates off of. Like, the world revolves around these beliefs, around these, like, categories that we put ourselves into, and these, like, entitled thoughts that we have. But, like, one day, like, I'm telling you, this world will not exist if we all don't start waking up and realizing that, like, this stuff is fake and it's only benefiting like 5 people. It's only, like, good for a very small pool of the population, and the rest of us are suffering and we're othered. I just, like, I have a lot to say about that. And I think I just need to start speaking up about it because I'm just, like, really frustrated. And, like, I don't know why people aren't, like, getting it. But I think that, like, I didn't get it for a really long time. Like, I obviously didn't understand. And, like, I've just had experiences over the past few months that have really showed me that, like, this is not what we think it is. And this world cannot continue this way. It just can't. It literally just cannot. So, I just wanted to talk about what's going on with me and David Cordani. Like, if you ever see this somehow, like, just please stop. Like, just stop what you're doing. Like, literally stop. There is no reason why you deserve to have millions and millions of dollars. Like, there just is no reason why you have all this money when people who are, like, operating under your care, who are subscribers to your insurance company, cannot get coverage. Have to sit 6 weeks. Like, do you think people have 6 weeks to just sit around and wait for you to say, okay, good? Like, do you really think that? Like, people have lives that they have to live. That's just selfish, David Cordani. Like, stop being selfish. Let people just get the care that they need. So what? Like, who cares if they get an MRI and they end up not needing it? Like, that's just money out of your pocket. Like, so what? Like, you have all this money anyways. People's lives.